More about an unconventional, a really non-traditional career path. And that's the career path that I've had. So based on my introduction, I'm not entirely sure what you guys heard because I didn't hear that, but it should show that I've had a very non-traditional path to where I am today. And I'm continuing on a very non-traditional path. Just a synopsis, I've graduated from St. Hilda's in 2009. Afterwards, I went to Hampton for sixth form. And then I went to the United States to do my undergraduate. And from the United States to where I'm today, during that time span, I've been fortunate to live in 8 different countries. And during that time, I've been fortunate as well to master 3 different foreign languages. I speak Mandarin, Spanish, and Portuguese, along with English, of course. And Jamaican patois is a language recognized by Harvard, just in case you guys don't know. Yeah. So my non-traditional career path has really been guided by a philosophy of impact and intellectual curiosity. So why impact and intellectual curiosity? Because I really want to ensure that everything I do makes a difference for the people I care about, the companies I care about, the organizations, all of the different causes that I care about, or the world at large. And intellectual curiosity is, I'm a very curious person, and I really believe that boredom is the highest sin of life. So I always seek opportunities to really challenge myself, expand my perspectives, and broaden the scope of what I know. So in terms of like what I really want to talk about for you guys today, I want to talk about some key things that have really guided my journey and some of the things that I really wanted you guys to really take away. Now, the first thing is when you're pursuing a non-traditional path, you really need to identify your why. You need to learn how to tune out the noise. You also need to learn how to be resilient, resourceful, ready. And finally, you always need to know how to enjoy your journey. So I'm going to begin with identifying your why. Now, when you want to do something that is not, in the path that's like less taken, the thing that you need to know and what's most important is why. What motivates you? What is something that you dream about? That's something, no matter what other people say or do, you'll never stop dreaming and you'll see a path through. So I'm going to use myself an example, and then I'm going to walk through with this thought process using myself as an example. So the first thing for me is I really loved traveling. I really liked the idea of getting to know this big world that we lived in. I wanted to see as much as I could. I wanted the opportunity to really interact with as many people as I could and learn a lot about the world that we're in. So that was my why, and that's what really motivated me. So when I was at St. Hilda's, it was very difficult for me to define like, oh, do I want to be a teacher? Do I want to be a lawyer? Do I want to be a doctor? It was kind of like, I'm not sure exactly what I want to be, but I know that like I want to do something that allows me to travel a lot. I want to do something that allows me to interact with a lot of people. And I want to do something that allows me to really understand the world. And naturally, a lot of people are like, oh, maybe you should try diplomacy. Maybe you should be a diplomat for Jamaica. That would be fun. So initially in grade 8 thereabout, that was kind of like what I was thinking. Yeah, I'm going to become a diplomat for Jamaica. And what does that require? It requires me to learn foreign languages. It requires me to learn more about different cultures. And for me, that wasn't difficult or anything that seemed like a momentous task. Like it didn't seem something that was going to be extremely challenging for me because it really excited me, right? So I think my first opportunity to really study abroad was when I was in, I think it was grade 7 or grade 8. The Spanish department had a program for us to go to Panama. And that was my first opportunity to really go somewhere beyond the United States, Canada, the traditional places that most Jamaicans tend to go to. And I loved it. I absolutely loved the experience. It was very daunting and challenging to really like be someplace where my Spanish wasn't that great, but always having the opportunity to challenge myself. And that was something that really excited me. And I think that was the beginning of me saying like, okay, I want to travel more. I want to do more. I want to see more. And fortunately to this day, I've been able to travel to almost 40 countries. And I don't have a US passport. So I still have a Jamaican passport. So I know the struggle. So I'm not talking here from an area of privilege, you know, going places and not having to apply for visas. So let's put that out there. And then the next thing that you're going to come across when you're on this unconventional path is you're going to come across a lot of people who are saying, it's not going to happen, you can't do it, you know, maybe you should do this instead. Why are you thinking like that, right? So what I've learned from experience is that doubters and naysayers are really just people who are products of their environment. A lot of people are only taught to dream within a certain realm of possibilities, within a certain realm of limitations. So, for example, if someone with whom they know or with whom they're closely acquainted with has never been able to achieve that, it's been something that had been removed from their realm of possibility. So anything beyond that they deem as like impossible, unattainable, and they will most likely advise you to think again, to do something else, right? And sometimes you know, some people are coming from a place of they're not coming from a malicious place, they're not trying to be deceitful, they're not trying to be harmful with what they say to you. It's essentially them trying to be nice, but it's really because of where they are, right? So when I was younger, and I even remember when I was at Hampton, I said, "Oh, you know, I want to travel. I want to see the world." And a lot of people looked at me and they're like, "How are you going to do that? Like, how are you going to afford that?" And I'm not rich. My parents are not wealthy. My mom's a teacher, and my dad was a farmer. My mom also was a teacher because they're both retired. So I'm not wealthy. I don't have a lot of money. So it required me to really figure out what is my plan and how I'm going to get there, because I don't have like I don't know. I'm trying to think of like local wealthy Jamaicans that you guys will know, but let me use international people. I don't have Donald Trump money. I don't have the Royals money. It's not like that for me. So I had to really think about how I was going to get there and really think about a plan, but really motivated by what I wanted to do. So for me, it was more so just like, if I study abroad in the United States, the chances of me going abroad to different countries would be a lot easier and a lot more affordable because I could get scholarships that would pay for everything. And that was essentially my path. My path was, I really have to keep my head down and get a scholarship and basically get somebody to fund, somebody or some organization to really fund my dream, because my parents, it was just not something that they could do. Luckily for me, my mom was my biggest cheerleader. So she didn't really stop me from dreaming once I had a plan, right? So the next thing I wanted to say is where we need to be resilient, resourceful, and right. So resilient, coming back to what I was saying about having a plan, right? You need to come with something structured, a nice plan, but also be prepared to have roadblocks. There are going to be things in the way that are going to really come in the way of you trying to achieve your plan. You're going to make mistakes. There are going to be pit stops. There are going to be potholes, but you need to continue pushing forward. For example, when I was applying to schools in the United States, at first, I wasn't getting the schools that would give me a full ride. When I said I wanted a scholarship, essentially, I didn't want like 20%, 30%. I wanted to just show up. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to just show up for school. I didn't want to have to think about loans. I didn't want to have to think about any of these other things. And I'm not an athlete. So I needed to find ways to really stand out and set myself apart and really motivate someone who has never met me to say, like, I understand this girl's dream. I resonate with her. So I want to make sure that I could help her achieve it because someone helped me achieve mine. And then throughout that, it, you know, like even when I went to the US, my first semester in the summer, I applied to study in China for a summer abroad program. And the first application, we applied for financial aid, and I think I got like maybe 50%. And then the first thing I was just like, oh my God, like there's no way I can afford this. And then a friend of mine was just like, Gabby, just push back, like push back, ask for more. Like the worst that could happen is that they say no. And I did. I asked for more. I made a pressing case. I reminded them what my why was. I reminded them where I was in my journey and where I'd like to be and why I'm taking this journey and what I hope to get from it. At the time, it was still to become a diplomat in Jamaica. And they were motivated by that. They really liked that. So they were willing to help me get there. So you need to really be resilient. There are going to be a lot of mistakes. There are going to be a lot of pit holes. There are going to be a lot of potholes. There are going to be a lot of obstacles on your journey. But you need to be able to learn from whatever mistakes you make, really push forward. And taking me to my next point of being resourceful, you need to find very creative ways and unconventional ways to get your end results. You need to learn how to leverage all of your resources and sometimes not be afraid to create your own, right? So a lot of times when I was in the US or even on my journey, I was the first doing many things. So after I left Mount Holyoke, I went to Johns Hopkins University, their graduate school, and they had a graduate school located in Nanjing, China. I was the first Jamaican to go to that school. And when I was doing that, it was like a lot of like really creating a strong and compelling case as to why I wanted to be there, what I would gain from it, and what I would bring to the community. And that was very important for them to really understand how I would fit in and how this journey was important for me, but also important for their community at large, because it's a give and take. I come into the environment, they're going to learn from me, I'm going to learn from them. So a lot of times I had to create opportunities where there weren't any, and I had to let me see, how can I say this best? So basically, where no one else see opportunity, I had to see it, I had to create it, I had to push forward for it, and I had to use whatever resources I had to make sure that I could get to my end result, right? And then being ready. So sometimes your opportunity only comes once, and sometimes this opportunity will be your last. So you always need to be ready. Like when you're sitting there and you're just like waiting for everything to happen, you can't just sit there and do nothing. You need to always be curious, ask questions, research, build on your skills. Make sure that every day is a day about self-development. I read a lot of books. We're in April. I've read about like 6 books so far. And this might not seem a lot, but for someone who is doing an MBA, which is a Master's of Business Admin in a foreign country, and also doing a lot of other like projects and stuff like that, that's a lot because I have a very difficult and rigorous schedule. So being able to read, being able to research, ask questions, and be observant, learn from your environment, learn from your community, really make sure that you're really challenging yourself every day and building that intellectual capacity and being adaptable and flexible, building your interpersonal skills so that when your opportunity comes, you're ready. You're ready to seize that opportunity. You're ready to take full advantage of it. And you're ready to apply all of what you've learned, and you're ready to go and make your impact. And then the final thing is you need to really enjoy your journey. So on average, we have around 81 years on this planet, right? And a lot of people don't really get to see those 81 years. And a lot of people get to see those 81 years, but they don't get to really enjoy those 81 years, right? So you need to really set time aside while you're young to enjoy life. Don't think like, oh, after I finish working and, I become this successful person, then I'll enjoy life. You could become the successful person with a lot of health conditions. You could become the successful person and then there's COVID. You want to make sure that while you're going on this journey, you're enjoying every bit of it. Like, our life is a roller coaster, right? And I always say you should savor the highs, learn from the lows, but always remember that the journey is a lot more important than the destination. So while I will travel, I will do fun things. I like activities. I like adventurous activities. Like I like roller coasters. I've done indoor skydiving. I've gone like zip lining. Once I was ziplining in Laos, which is a country in Southeast Asia, and I got stuck. It was a scary experience, but it was really fun. So ultimately, these are really the things that I really want you guys to think about. I'm going to reiterate them for you again. I want you to identify your why, really know what's very important to you, what makes you get really excited and something you push forward. You want to tune out the noise. If you're going to do something unconventional, something that a lot of people have never done before, or sometimes no one like you has ever done before, a lot of people are going to be like, nah, it can't happen. I'm not sure how this is going to work for you. Listen to them, take what they're saying, listen to them very critically, take what they're saying, digest it, but see how it's applicable to you as an individual. What worked for Tom doesn't necessarily work for Harry. Just see how you are very different in this situation. You want to be resilient, you want to be resourceful, you want to be ready. And then finally, you really want to enjoy your journey, right? So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys today about, my unconventional journey. I don't have like a very traditional career path to kind of answer those specific questions, but I'm more than happy to talk about some of the things that I've done, some of the things that I'm going to do, and what my life has been like with that journey and time, and anything you guys want to learn from that.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Barnett. At this time, we invite you to ask Ms. Barnett any question you would like to. Questions? Come. Yes.
I'm not sure if this is me, but what if a person has no interest or in anything at all?
So I'm going to repeat that question. The question is if you have no interest in anything at all?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is so impossible. That is absolutely impossible. Even like the tiniest of animals have interest in things. I feel like the question is that it's not necessarily that you don't have any interest in anything at all. It's more so that you have not yet identified your interest. You guys are in grade 9, so that's 13, 14 thereabouts, I'm guessing. Maybe 12.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. You guys are young. You guys are very young. It means that you have time to ask yourselves these questions and really think about what excites me. And sometimes it's that you don't necessarily have an interest. It's maybe you have not yet been exposed to something that really motivates and excites you, right? So for example, like even when I was asked like, hey, do you want to come to career day? And I was just like, my path is a little bit kind of all over the place. Like, will anyone even identify? And they were like, people want to hear about like something different and non-traditional. So it's very impossible. Like even my cat has interest. My dog has interest. Like the fly in the room, it has interest. Everyone has interest. Everyone is motivated by something. It's not that you don't have it yet, it's that you have not found it or you haven't seen something. So I would say, like we live in a very connected world right now. Go on YouTube, see what people are doing, read, watch TV, try to go outside the realm of Jamaica, try to expand your horizons a bit, try to see beyond what people in your community or people in your environment are doing, and then see if there's anything that gets you super excited. Because, for example, before I started traveling, my mom didn't go anywhere. My siblings didn't go anywhere. A lot of the places that I've been in the world, a lot of the times I was like, hey mom, like for example, once I was in Liberia and I was working with a Nobel Peace Laureate, and my dad had never really heard of Liberia. So he kept telling everyone I was in Libya because he knew about Libya because of the war. It's like, oh, Gabby's in Libya, right? And then they're like, hold up, wait. Or for example, anytime my parents talk about me and they're telling like their friends like, oh, this is what Gabby's been up to, everybody's super confused because a lot of things that I've done, people have never heard of, they don't know about. They're like, oh, Gabrielle is working in educational consulting. Gabrielle is working in translation. She's going to be doing management consulting. They're like, what are these things, right? So I really, really, really doubt that you have no interest at all. I think it's more so that you have not yet identified what it is. And it could possibly be because like, you're not interested in being like a lawyer, a teacher, or a doctor. You're interested into doing something else. And that is okay. You just need time. You're young. And I would lie to you if I told you that at this very moment, at my current age, I know what I want to do until the day I die.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback and then say one thing, try new things. I remember I was in Washington and that was the first time I went snowboarding. I asked some people to go with me and then, you get Black people don't snowboard. We did. You just have to actually go do it. So try different things. Go camping, horseback riding. You heard me yesterday. I, write. I make clothes. I work on engines. I work on computers. Try new things and you will find something that ignites that passion. You'll be fine.
Yes, thank you so much.
Miss, do you think you could please speak some Mandarin first?
I'm sorry, could I do what?
Would like you to speak Mandarin for her.
Oh, what would you like me to say? Oh my gosh, sure. I speak Mandarin at every chance I get.
Just greet them in Mandarin.
Okay, I could say, all right. 你们好，大家好。今天很高兴看见你们。我叫白桂平，我是牙买加人。Let me sing. I don't know what else to say. Just like, hi everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Gabriella. It's really just it. That's yeah. Let me see. 我以前住在北京，我很喜欢北京，真的很喜欢北京话。以前在南京、香港。
All right, thank you.
Miss, my question was how do you not get bored learning all these different languages?
So I heard not get bored.
How did you not get bored learning all the different languages?
Oh, how do I not get bored learning all the different languages? That's very easy because every day I learn something new. So for example, okay, with Spanish, so I lived in Spain for a year. And when I went to Spain, I thought I was just like, oh, I know Spanish, I'm good, everything's gonna be great. Now, unknown to me at the time, in Spain, and especially in southern Spain, the Spanish is real different down there. So think about like, you learn like British English all the days of your life, and you go to class for the first day and somebody say, yo, Wagwan, you can't pass me over this stuff for me? And you say, hold up, what? So that was my experience in the south of Spain. The first month, I was convinced that like, what was I studying all these years? Like, because I was doing an exchange program. So I was essentially in a Spanish university taking classes as a regular student. So there was no one to hold my hand. I was just a regular student. And a lot of times, all of these different accents, it was very difficult for me, all of these different slangs, like slangs in the US, slangs in Jamaica. When I come home to Jamaica, my brother and sister, they have to give me a crash course in all of the new slangs, because sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what that means, right? So I feel like it's not boring, because every time I go somewhere, I learn something different. So for example, I lived in China for 5 years. And even in China, there's so many different places that speak different Mandarin. So for example, you guys heard me speak. If I go somewhere and someone hear me speak, they're like, oh, you're from Beijing, because that's how people in Beijing speak. I'm currently right now in Malaysia, and there's a large Chinese population in Malaysia, and they also speak very different. So for example, I can give you like an example, and I'll speak very slowly. So for example, the standard Mandarin, you'd be like, 我是你的老师, like I am your teacher. In Malaysia, they'd be like, 我是你的老师. And you're just like, hold up, what? Because Mandarin is the type of language where if you pronounce something differently, it means something else. So you could say one word 4 different ways, and it means 4 very different things. So there's that. And then there's also just like regional slangs. There's academic Mandarin. For example, my Mandarin is extremely academic because I was a translator. So like that was the realm I'm in. My slangs are limited to Beijing and northern China because that's where most of my friends were from. And those were the people who I'd have casual conversation that would teach me some slangs. One of my best friends in China is from more southern China. And anytime I go to visit her, and her parents don't speak English, and her, you know, I understand the parents just fine, but I remember when she just got married, I was listening to her in-laws talk and I was just like, hold up, have I been out of China that long? Do I not, why can't I not understand? She's like, it's fine. I understand like maybe 85%, like they speak a whole other dialect over there. So, you know, if you could get 50, you're far ahead of the curve for a foreigner. So it's very difficult to get bored learning something new because nothing is static. Everything is very dynamic. Things change and you're always learning. Every day you're learning something new. Every day you're being taught something new. So it's always just a continuous process.
Okay, my question is, you mentioned before that you got a couple scholarships. What advice would you give to receive scholarships apart from studying hard?
Sure. So, all right. So I could tell you a little bit about my scholarship journey, and then I could tell you what advice I get from it. But to be very honest, everybody's scholarship journey is very unique to them. It's very important for you to get good grades. That's very important. However, you need to learn how to stand apart and set yourself apart from everyone else. So for example, right now in my MBA program, I had the opportunity to do MBAs at a lot of different universities in the US, in Europe, and all these things. But as I said, I'm broke, I'm poor, I just want to show up. I don't want to pay nothing. I just want to pull up and learn, right? Like I ain't trying to pay nothing, just pull up, that's it, right? So I tried to make sure I leverage whatever made me different. So everyone, especially in the US, right? And I worked in educational consulting. So I worked with helping students, Chinese students, try to differentiate themselves and apply to top US, Canadian, and UK universities. What's most important is having a cohesive and compelling story and making sure that apart from academics, everything else fall in line and people can actually see why you're making these decisions. So for me, I was very interested in traveling. I was very interested in other cultures, and I was very interested in that international realm and space. So a lot of the things that I did, I made sure that besides being getting good grades, I was doing things outside of the classroom that really allowed people to really see that I'm preparing myself to get to the goal that I'm trying to get to. I tried to make sure I differentiate myself in different ways. Like how many Jamaicans from country, because I don't come from Kingston, from country, you know, that had the experience and path and opportunities that I've had. Many of the places I've been the first and sometimes the only Jamaican there, right? And I don't let that stop me. I'm like, some people just want to go places where there's just a bag of Jamaicans and them can just settle down and be calm and cool and collected. People don't want to feel uncomfortable. So it was more so just like always making sure that I put myself in these uncomfortable positions, because when you're in these uncomfortable spaces, that's when you learn and that's when you grow, because you're really challenging yourself, right? So be involved in clubs, be involved, you know, and make sure that you're getting leadership positions, and not just to get the badge to kind of like pad up your uniform or anything like that. Make sure you're doing something. Make sure you're making an impact. making sure that you're paying it forward, you're helping the other person behind you so that they can see that you're somebody who cares about community and someone who cares about building. Make sure that you are eloquent. Make sure that you build your interpersonal skills. Sometimes it's not who you know, it's who knows you and who can speak well about you. Make sure that you're always seeking opportunity to learn, challenge yourself, and really push forward. So really try to differentiate yourself in the application process, but also be true to who you are. Do not take on another persona or identity because you think it would help you, but make sure that you're authentic to who you are. Some people may not like it, some people may not want it, and that's fine. You can't be everybody's ackee and sawfish. You know, somebody may want, I don't know, toast and eggs, and you're just not that. You're ackee and sawfish, and that is good. So really try to differentiate yourself is what I say, but also be authentic to who you are as a person and be learning, be curious, challenge yourself. Yeah. And go into the uncomfortable places.
Thank you so much, Ms. Barnett, for the information that you have shared with us. I am sure my students, they have learned a lot and they will use the information to their benefit. Once again, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It seems so weird being called Miss Barnett. I feel like that's my mom's name.
Okay. All right. Now our next presenter is Denise Grant. Denise Grant. Is Ms. Grant there? Yes, she is. All right. Denise Grant was born and raised in Walker's Wood, St. Anne. She now resides in Orange Bay, and her profession, fitness instructor, social media management, model, and business owner. She studied teaching at the Money Teachers College. She's currently pursuing a bachelor's degree at the University of the West Indies. Her favorite subjects while at St. Hilda's were physical education, geography, biology, and Spanish. She worked at a popular hotel in Negril as an entertainment coordinator for 6 years and was then promoted to the band communications coordinator for 2 years. And then she became an entrepreneur. Let's put our hands together and welcome. Ms. Grant, over to you. Are you hearing me, Ms. Grant?
Hello.
Hello.
All right, sorry about that. I was having some troubles with my microphone.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, when I found out I was going to be doing this, I was really excited because then to have this opportunity to speak to students from the high school, the very high school I went to. It's amazing to see Gabriella and how she's excelled, and we were in the same year group, so it's so nice to see how and follow my classmates and see how they're doing. And I'm especially interested in what Gabrielle was saying because it was so different. I had similar challenges too, because I was always told to be a teacher be a lawyer, do a government job because it was more stable. But it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And I remember teachers would always say, you know, find something you love. Parents or adults would just say, find something you love, then you feel like you're not gonna feel like you're working. But I could never connect that with what I was learning in school until a certain point. So like the point you're at now, definitely a lot of you're not sure when you get asked the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I had no clue. When I graduated, I didn't have any idea of what I wanted to do. And what I'm doing now, everything had to come together over like the course of my being in high school, going to college, like doing this job that I didn't want to do to make money so I could pay my way through school, because you're not going to always have the opportunity for your parents to send you straight to college, straight to university. But I was working weekends, going to money college. And, you know, I was grateful for the opportunity to learn Spanish, and the fact that St. Hilda's made Spanish mandatory is what really got me into college. I didn't want to teach, but it was the only opportunity I had to go to college. And I said, might as well I take the opportunity and see what I can make of it. And that's one of the skills you have to possess. You have to be able to adapt. You don't always get what you want. That's not how life goes. Some days you have Milo, some days it's bush tea, some days maybe there's no tea, but you have to make the most of what you have. And being strong, especially as a female, you have to stand up for yourself. It's a very tough world. And it's not just about being where you are now. It's not just about high school. And you know, you can slow down because you're not gonna have it all together. Life is not about having it all together. It's like, oh, at 25, I'm gonna get married, I'm gonna have a house, I'm gonna have 3 kids. No. So one of the things that really helped me was my ability to adapt to different situations, because I would say I had life good, and then some things turned sour, but I didn't let that deter me. I managed to, like, my dad passed away a year after I graduated from high school, and then I was on my own. So I figured I have to go seek a weekend job. So I would go to college Monday to Friday. I was leaving class on Friday to go and work to get money to go to school. And then I ended up leaving teachers college, not wanting to become a teacher, but I learned so much there that I was able to seek a job in an industry that would give me more money and more. I wanted to get out of my community. I didn't want to stay in Walkerswood, because I looked around and it was just people from my community doing the same things. You know, you would have maybe my neighbor who is a teacher, she'd be a teacher for 30 years. But when I looked at where I didn't want to do that. My dream job was to become a flight attendant. That's what I always wanted to do. And somewhere along the lines, I decided, well, I do want to travel, but like the other things I wanted from life, becoming a flight attendant wouldn't allow me to do that. So I then had to go out and seek other things that could give me experience, exposure, and introduce me to new concepts, new ideas. Then I ended up becoming an entertainment coordinator at a popular hotel in Negril. And I worked there, ended up staying at that hotel for 8 years. Within my first year there, I got opportunities that no other entertainer was getting because of what I was doing before that, leading up to that. If you want to do well at your 60s, you cannot plant the seed in year 5. You plant the seed from year 1, 2, 3, and it's different stages. You're going through different stages. Even as an adult, it's not, okay, I'm gonna be a doctor for 20 years. Maybe you study medicine, you branch off into a different area of medicine, you start your own practice. It's a lot of things that you can do, because I never imagined that I would own a gym on the world famous 7 Mile Beach in Negril. I never had any idea that I would become a fitness instructor. I'd be impacting, influencing people to become a better version of themselves where fitness is concerned. And especially with the pandemic, a lot of people kind of realize that your health is the number one priority, because without health you have nothing. And a lot of students, when I was in high school, a lot of students would shy away from physical education. Do those subjects, do geography, do agriculture, do physical education, religious studies, learn everything you can, be a sponge, learn everything you can learn, because you never know when you have to call upon a particular subject area or skill area to become successful. As I said, I would never imagine that I would be instructing people in exercise and fitness, but everything didn't come together until a certain point in my life. And I still don't have it all together, but the pieces are coming together now, because since primary school, I was always playing netball. I was always active. In high school, I was on the netball team. In college, I was on the netball team, but I never imagined, okay, how could I make a profession out of my passion for fitness? And then it all came to me during the pandemic. I lost my job. I was laid off. I was in the tourism sector working. I lost my job. And that's when I realized that working for a company and just doing that, like all your life you hear, work hard, get a good job. And it's not just about that. It's about being adaptable. You have to be able to adapt to anything, because COVID was thrown at us, but I still built my business during COVID. I rose from everything during COVID. I opened the gym in December, and so far it's been successful. But before that, I would spend 2 hours in the gym just working out because I loved it. I loved being in the gym and I was in my own zone. So after a while, that's when it kind of hit me. And like when you would hear your boss say, do what you love and you won't feel like you're working. And then that's when it came together. It's like, oh, so I'm getting up every day, working out, training people, and it doesn't feel like I'm doing like a job. It doesn't feel stressful or hectic or like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I can't wait to clock out. No, it's not like that. So what you have to do is just broaden yourself. Just be a sponge, soak up everything you can. Learn different things. Networking is going to be one of the skills that will take you through, not money, networking, because a lot of people, and it sounds cliche, a lot of people come from nothing, but just being in the right place, making the right connections can take you a very long way.
Thank you so much, Ms. Grant. Question? Any questions, Ms. Grant?
I heard you made mention of your struggle. Said that times were sometimes sour. Could you share with us a quote or a philosophy or something you kept to remind yourself to continue?
I didn't quite get your question. Can you move the microphone? Just move it away a little so you're not muffled.
I was saying that when you were speaking, you made mention of your struggle, and you said that times are bitter at times. But is there a quote or a philosophy or something that you kept reminding yourself to continue, even though, because sometimes, even though we're at school, you might get low grades, you might be discouraged. What made you continue? What made you not lost school?
Well, I don't have a quote, but I like to say life is hard. Being poor is hard. Being unemployed is hard. School is hard. Everything is hard. You just have to pick whichever hard thing you're gonna do. There's because life is full of challenges. Sometimes you get hit down so hard and you feel like you're at the end of the road. And you know, you hear people say it all the time, but when sometimes you hit rock bottom, but what carries you through is, as Gabriella said, why did you start? Why did you start in the first place? Are you gonna stop just because you hit a hurdle? And then you look at other people where you want to be. For example, let's say you have a classmate that she gets A's, she's early, she's on time with her assignments, she's a part of a club, and you wonder, how does she manage to do all of that? It doesn't hurt to ask. Just ask. You see someone that's somewhere you want to be, even if you don't ask them directly, you can start doing your own little research, or you have to research, you have to read, you have to expose yourself to material, and you just have to be focused and know that challenges are going to come, and hard work brings true joy. Hard work brings true joy.
Thank you so much, Ms. Grant. We really appreciate that. And I'm sure that my girls benefited from your information. Thank you again. Before I take the other speaker, I am going to invite one of my teachers just to share some information.
All right, everyone, a quick commercial break just to share with you a new subject that we offer here at St. Hilda's. It's called Additional Mathematics. Now, maybe your question is, how will that help you? Why think about additional mathematics? Listen to these. Now, firstly, we know in everything we do, math. Imagine having additional math, an asset, definitely. And now I have a set of questions for you. If your answer is yes to the following questions, definitely additional mathematics is for you. So let's go. Listen carefully. Do you want to strengthen your critical thinking skills, your numeracy skills, and your reasoning abilities? If yes, AdMath is for you. Do you want to improve your aptitude and academic performance in the regular set mathematics? AdMath is for you. If you want to be more confident in math and have a powerhouse of genius in math, AdMath is for you. And finally, I just want to share this with you. If you plan to do pure mathematics or integrated math, maybe for certain careers in the future, such as actuarial science, engineering, physics, biomedicine, architectural, physics, etc., AdMath is for you. It helps, and it helps you especially with those cave subjects, pure math and the sixth form. Sorry, pure math and integrated math, sorry. And I just want to share that AdMath, it is a start and it gives you an edge. All right, and quickly in the 2 seconds that I have, we currently have a grade 10 cohort doing AdMath right now. We're starting it at grade 10. All right, so you have 2 years. And we have a set with us today. I did not tell them what to say, so they're going to share with you, being genuinely true to you, just an experience about AdMath. Quickly, everybody. So the reason why we're talking about AdMath is pretty soon you'll be selecting your subjects that you'll be focusing on for grade 10. And AdMath will be in one of those schools. So we're just encouraging you, especially regarding your career, future, AdMath, selecting that as a subject. Talk to your parents about it. And if you require any additional information, you can speak to any of your teacher of mathematics.
Good afternoon, grade 9 young ladies, and also to the presenters which may be listening. Okay. I'm not going to lie, additional mathematics, it is not easy, but it's really all about determination. It's really all about where your focus is, and it's really all about what you want from the subject. Miss Kelly, she's a really good teacher, and I know most of us, because I can witness to this. I'm afraid to ask certain questions, but with Miss Kelly, you can ask any question, and she won't just give you a direct answer. She'll give you the steps to calculate and understand. So though she's teaching, she's making learning effective. As she mentioned, there are many careers that additional mathematics will help you with, and it also gives you a push up the ladder when you're looking for a job, because one major thing that I think employers are looking for is something different. They want an employee that brings something to the table. I can't remember yet. They want an employee that brings something to the company as much as they can take from the company. So I do recommend you doing additional mathematics.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Like everything in life, additional math is hard, but it can be done with the right amount of motivation and determination. So never shy away from anything that you think is too hard. Just give it a try because it can be done.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, presenters. Good afternoon, students. I just want to say, like second languages, or when you're multilingual, additional mathematics is an aspect. That's what you should know. It may be difficult at times, but it takes constant practice, it takes dedication, it takes determination, and it gives you this confidence in other subject areas because yes, I do add math, yes, I feel confident in mathematics. It gives you this push, and then you don't really need to know a lot in math to do admin. You just need the motivation, the determination. So that's it. I would encourage you to do it because it really is.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon to our presenters who will be listening in. My name is Gabriella. I do admin as well. And pulling from what my other sisters are saying, our sisters are saying, even if you're good at math right now, it's good to give yourself the push and take on the challenge. You know, math is really fun, just like math is really fun. You know, math is fun when you understand, and you always will with wisdom. So I would recommend being at math because it also helps you in regular math.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Camelia, and I do admin. Just like everybody here, I have many fears, and when I was in grade 7, 8, and 9, mathematics was one of my fears. But after doing regular math, I got some more confidence in math that I decided I wanted to do additional math. And it was refreshing to see another aspect of math because in additional math, it's easy. When you do regular math, it's more advanced and there are different perspectives and the ways of doing different types of math. So it really gives you an eye-opener as to what math can do and how it can be applied to your daily life. So I think that additional math is important. And you don't have to be afraid of it because you have help. Miss Kelly will help you. She won't eat you. She will help. So don't be afraid. Just practice on your own. There are many resources. You have YouTube, TikTok can even help you. And any apps. So just use the resources because we live in a society where technology is very useful. So just use the resources and everything. Thank you.
think that's the end of our commercial break. Our next presenter is, okay, please be quiet. Our next presenter is Stacey Ann Farewell. She hails from the parish of St. Anne. She graduated from the St. Hilda's Licensing High School in 2001 and later moved to the Brownstown Community College, where she studied the sciences for 2 years. Mrs. Stelwell holds a Bachelor of Science degree in biotechnology and chemistry with honors, and a Master of Science degree in occupation and environmental safety and health with distinction from the University of the West Indies, Muna. She's a wife, a mother, and is currently the manager of microbiology branch of the Bureau of Standards in Jamaica. In her very limited spare time, she enjoys decor design and art projects. Her philosophy in life is to always aim to become a better version of herself. Please put your hands together and make welcome Mrs.
Good day, everyone. Good day to Mrs. Reed Johnson. Good day to the lovely ladies, all the teachers and administrators who are present. I am happy to be here with you today. If at any time you're not hearing me clearly, just let me know, because you know how technology can be sometimes. But I'm very excited to be with you today. I'm actually a little bit under the weather today, but I still needed to come and speak with my ladies. All right, so I'm just gonna give you a brief overview of my life following St. Hilda's and what it was like while I was there. So as was said earlier, I graduated in 2001. While at St. Hilda's, I was always one of those science students, one of those nerdy ones. I wasn't one who would speak a lot. I was very reserved, actually. I normally would do well academically, but in terms of participation in all of these clubs and being a part of everything, that was not me at the time. There were some things that I would do, but really, and not a whole lot. So I was one of those that would come to school, I'd do my work, and I would go home, and I would still do well. Being at St. Hilda's, it was a good experience, and I must say kudos to the organizers of this particular program here, where you have past students coming to talk to you. It's a very good initiative. This is something that will be helpful to you moving forward into the working world. It's something that would have been definitely useful to me during my tenure there. So, you know, we are here to tell you about the mistakes that we made and what we did and what we should have done. So kudos to you, the administrators and the organizers, for doing this. So I graduated with the sciences. I moved on to Brownstown Community College. I continued in the sciences there. And then I moved on to the University of the West Indies, where I, of course, as what most science students want to do, you want to be a doctor, right? A lot of us. So one of the things I want to say to us all is keep an open mind, explore the options. There are those traditional jobs that we all know about, but there are also some that we might not know about. So right now you have technology at your fingertips. You can go online, you can research, you can see a lot of options that are out there, things that you might want to do, things that you might not have thought of before. And I know a lot of presenters have said this before, and I will echo it, that try a lot of different things. Some of us in my time, it was a long time ago, were brought up with these traditional career paths in mind. However, there's so many other things that you can do, and there's so many other things that you might find that you're actually passionate about. So do that summer job, sign up for that internship, just try your hands at a lot of different things, anything that you can do just to see what it is that you really like, because you might think that this is that you want to do a particular thing, but then you realize, this might not really be what I wanted to do, because as I said, I wanted to become a doctor. When I went to UWI, I didn't apply to medicine, actually. I never ended up applying to it. When I was about to apply to it, I realized, I don't know why I did not think about this before, but at that point, I realized that I needed to do a lot of work with dead people. And that totally freaked me out. I realized that I could not handle that aspect. I mean, kudos to all the doctors out there who can do it. I realized that I was able to do it. And another thing was that while at UA, you have your dissections to do when you have your science labs and all of that. I realized that for some reason, I was always cutting something that I was not supposed to cut. And then I realized that, this is probably not something that I should pursue, because I mean, you're dealing with persons' lives and you don't want to make mistakes. So I started my journey in microbiology. I actually studied biotechnology and chemistry at UWI. I did a large component of microbiology as well, and that's when I realized that I fell in love with it. It's very interesting. It's very dynamic, and I'm one who will get bored easily, so that worked out for me. Then after graduating from UWI with my first degree, I actually started working in the chemistry field initially. And then I was in the classroom for a while, teaching the science subjects until I eventually moved on to a microbiology lab. They're in Walkerswood, and our presenter earlier is from Walkerswood. I was working at the Walkerswood Caribbean Foods as a microbiologist there for a year before I moved on to the Bureau of Standards to be an analyst there. I know a lot of presenters have said before, networking is important. It is important. Another thing that is important is how you carry yourself, how your work ethic, the image that you project, that is very important, because that is pretty much what got me through. I didn't know anybody. I am not from one of those prominent families who people and you can network, and I had none of that. I worked my way up, and one of the things that I realized is that people are watching you, they're observing even when you don't realize it. I started out as an analyst, and I got promoted all the way up to the head of the lab. And as a matter of fact, I ended up being handpicked for the job. It wasn't a case of it was advertised, it was a case of me conducting myself the way I normally do, because I always try to do my best, because I love microbiology. I was on cloud 9 when I got this job, because it was exactly what I wanted to do. So I was working weekends. I mean, I would do anything, because I really, really loved what I was doing. And unknown to me, the persons in charge were noticing all of this. So when the opportunity came up, I was handpicked to take over the job. So that is one of the things that you need to bear in mind, that your reputation, I know this is the world of social media and all of that, be mindful of what you post online, because you just never know what might come back around to haunt you. And as a lab manager now, when I do my recruiting, I must say I do look at social media. I do go through and I look at Google, I look at your social media footprint, because I need to find out who is going to be a good fit for my team. And there are some things that I might not want on my team. So I would say be very mindful of what you say, what you post on social media. That is something definitely that you need to bear in mind in your journey. I would say, as I said before, you're at the stage now where you're trying to decide on what career path to go into. You might not figure it out right now, but what I'd say is try your hands at as many things as is possible so that you at least get a feel of what is there and what it is that you like, because you might not know what you like right now. Some people don't figure it out until they're in their 40s. I mean, and that's fine. It's never too late. It's never too late to figure it out. One of the things as well is honing your confidence. Confidence is very attractive. I mean, if you believe in yourself, other people will also believe in you. And that's one of the things that I developed over the years, because as I said earlier, when I was at St. Hilda's, that was not me. I was the one who just sit in a corner and just do my work and go home. But once you start to build that confidence, other people will start to notice, and that can take you a far way in life as well. Of course, you have to have the competence to back it up, but that will definitely help. So there's some simple little things that moving forward in your life, in your work life, you would need to think about. Being punctual, something as simple as that. Being on time, being reliable, help other people. Most times you're going to be working on a team. So all these group work projects, I know people don't like group work, but it's preparing you for the real world of working, where you're most times on a team and you're going to need to learn how to work with others. There are going to be persons on your team or in your group work, in your case, who they're not pulling their weight or you're not getting along, but you will need to learn how to work with them. And you're all working towards the same goal. So you're going to need to learn how to work together to get to that goal. Help others. Sometimes somebody might be in the group and they're not pulling their weight because they probably just can't manage. It might not be deliberate. Sometimes some persons need that extra help, and be helpful. Help as much as you can, as far as you can. No, you don't want people to exploit you and take advantage of you and that kind of thing, but you know, as much as you can, help out, show respect. Success is not gonna come overnight. Not because you go to school and you get the good grades and then you get the job. You're not gonna be rich when you just come out of school. There's gonna be that curve. You're gonna try to figure out living on your own. Sometimes the job isn't gonna pay what you want, you expected it to pay. Sometimes the job might not be in the field that you studied, but that's also something that you need to be open to. And as the previous presenter said, be adaptable. You need to learn how to adapt to change, because life will throw you some hurdles and you need to know how to jump over them and not fall on your face. So be mindful of that. It's not smooth sailing. There will be failures, there will be disappointments, but one thing I always say, there is a lesson to be learned in every experience. It doesn't matter if it's an unpleasant experience or if it's a good experience, there's always a lesson to be learned from that. But one of the things I would also say is, you only live once. Have fun at what you're doing. Enjoy your high school experience, find the best out of every experience that you're putting, whether it be high school, university, when you go. In the working world, just make the best out of it. Life is short. Have fun, but also bear in mind, just be cautious of what you do, what you say, the image you project. A presenter, I believe from earlier this week, said, show me a company and I tell you who you are. Also be mindful of that, because that is a fact. So I just want to encourage each and every one of you ladies to make the best of your experience at St. Hilda's. It's an excellent institution on the hill. I learned a lot of life lessons there that I still carry with me many, many years later. It's something to be proud of, where you're coming from. You're getting a very good foundation and it will push you very far. So the ball will be in your court after this to see how far you really will get. But bear in mind what I said, have fun, try your best and do well, apply for scholarships. I believe one of the previous presenters mentioned that as well. One thing I noticed is that there are a lot of scholarships that people just don't apply for them. And sometimes you think you might not get it because you're like, oh, but I don't have the grades, or I don't have this, or I don't have that. But a lot of people are thinking the same thing. And then sometimes what happens is that nobody applies for it. And then someone will apply who might not perfectly match the requirements, and they'll get the scholarship. So don't be afraid. Just try your best. Just apply. What's the worst that could happen? They say no. That's not so bad, right? So just do your best. Be a person of integrity. Put the best you forward. And as my philosophy is, always try to be a better version of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Stelwell. Question for Mrs. Stelwell? Any question? Okay. I guess they learned enough from you, Mrs. Stelwell.
Okay, that's good to know.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Presenter is Rochelle Williams, and I'll read her bio. Rochelle Williams is a passionate educator who has had academic training for over 10 years, working in the field of early childhood education and development. She is currently employed as a full-time lecturer in the Department of Early Childhood Education at the Shortwood Teachers College. She also works as an e-tutor for the University of the West Indies Open Campus on a part-time basis. Ms. Williams started her educational journey at the Discover Bay Preparatory School. Her success in the grade 6 achievement test earned her a spot at the St. Hilda's Diocesan High School. During her 5 years tenure at St. Hilda's, Ms. Williams got the opportunity to experience boarding life for a very short period. And some of you don't like boarding, but this opportunity, she believes, strengthened the richness of her overall high school journey. Ms. Williams holds a diploma in teaching early childhood education, and she obtained this diploma. She obtained an honors diploma, rather, from the Shortwood Teachers College, and a first-class honors Bachelor of Education in Early Childhood from the University of the West Indies, and a Master of Education Curriculum Development with distinction also from the University of the West Indies. Ms. Williams has served as a program coordinator and facilitator for the Early Interaction Project and the Insights into Children's Temperament program, both housed at the University of the West Indies. Mona, she has also worked as a coach with the Barita Education Foundation, a charitable organization that develops the literacy and numeracy skills for early childhood teachers and their students from vulnerable communities in the Kingston metropolitan area. Her research interests span both students and teachers' development and has been largely on improving and understanding the pedagogical practices and the reflectivity of teachers. A collaborative research paper, an extension of her master's, thesis titled Knowledge to Action, Teacher Learning and Development as a Pedagogy of Practice was presented at the 2017 American Educational Research Association Conference in San Antonio, Texas. The symposium added to the dialogue on teacher learning and development within a Caribbean context. The presentation focused on teacher learning and development as a pedagogy of practice and how this pedagogy of practice can be utilized to sustain teacher learning and development, thereby influencing quality student outcome. Though most of our studies surround academia, Ms. Williams is the CEO of Flowers and Decor, an event planning and decorating business. She holds a certificate in balloon art and floral design, as well as a certificate in event planning and management from the University College of the Commonwealth Caribbean. Ms. Williams believes that anything worth doing is worth doing well, and she ensures she delivers quality to her clients. Please put your hands together and make welcome.
Thank you so much. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mrs. Reed Johnson. Good afternoon to the moderator, and good afternoon, ladies. It's wonderful to be in the auditorium again, though virtually. All right, I see that you're having a very fruitful session and sessions, and I hope I can add to the richness of your career day experience. I'll be sharing my screen. Just like to ask if you're seeing my screen.
Yes, we are.
Excellent, thank you. So of course, as a teacher educator, I teach how I learn, and so I have to have a visual for you this afternoon. All right, so let's go. So I'm going to talk to you though briefly about my journey that continued at St. Hilda's, how St. Hilda's added to the richness of who I am today, and how it will also impact who I am for future years to come. I will be talking to you a little about my passion and how that has evolved into purpose. And so, ladies, I want you to think about it very seriously, about how your passion can fuel your purpose. So yes, as you heard from my biography, I'm very passionate about teacher education. I'm very passionate about teacher development. I'm passionate about the education that our young children receive. I'm very passionate about making people happy. Hence, I have an event and floral decor business. Ladies, think about this. Reflect on this. What skills do you believe are essential for your success in the future? Not mine, not the lady, not the young girl, not your friend sitting beside you, not your mother, not your father's, nor your sister's, but yours. What do you believe is essential for your success? Think about it. Bear this in mind. I want to highlight that over the years, the skills that are important in the workplace, they're evolving, they're changing, and there are certain skills that are becoming increasingly important than others. And we know about what happened in 2020, right? And we're still experiencing it now. So we have recognized that there is a shift. And so there are certain skills that are becoming more important now than ever. Creativity is amongst one of them. In 2015, it was listed as number 10, and now it ranks number 3 on the list as important skills for the workplace environment. There are some others that you can see: problem solving, critical thinking, people management, and the list continues. I want to talk to you really about 4 main skills that I believe have impacted who I am today, and 4 skills that really were developed and strengthened by my experience at St. Hilda's Diocesan High School. And the first one I want to speak to you about, ladies, is that of leadership. Yes, leadership skills. I was a key clubber, and I remember my days of going into the club, and I remember my days of interacting with various students from across all different high schools. I remember journeying to Cornwall College. I remember our brothers from KC coming down, interacting with us. And yes, the interaction was good. But what Key Club did for me, having being placed in leadership positions, being responsible, for example, for minute taking, being responsible for organizing meetings. And if you know anything, any of you who is a part of the Key Club body, you might know that there's a certain regime or there's a certain procedure that you ought to follow. I'm not sure if that club is still at St. Hilda's, but yes, I was a key clubber, and Key Club really helped with the leadership skills. It helped with understanding people, interacting with people. And I moved on from Key Club when I went to Shortwood as a student, and I joined Circle K. I transitioned quite easily, again, functioning in several leadership positions in Circle K. And I can tell you this, ladies, one of the things that stand out for me being a Circle K and a Key Clubber was that of offering service and giving of yourself, right? And just helping others. So all in all, that really is a part of leadership. And then after Shortwood and finishing up Circle K, I moved on to being a Kiwanian for a brief moment. Now, many of you might decide not to be in the K fam if you so desire, but you may decide to join other clubs. And yes, I implore you, please be a part of these clubs and societies. I remember back in my day, and I love to say back in my day, we were called the badge crew because we just had several badges of, we were in debate society, Spanish club, just to name a few. And not just to be a part of it, but it did something for us, right? We learned management skills, people skills, and all of that while we were, of course, yes, having lots of fun. The leadership skills include, in general, communicating effectively. And these are things that you will learn from being a part of a club, right? Providing solutions to problems. In general, just being reliable, overseeing projects, for example. For, you know, when I recall being a Key Club and Circle K, you had several projects to undertake. Maybe you had to raise funds to take to purchase, for example, toiletries for the elderly at the home or so, right? So all of that was a project, but there was a particular requirement of you as a student. And I think that really helped me to be the person I am today. And it can help you as well. And if you are a part of a club, continue, right, to reap the benefits of it. You might not see it right now, you know, but eventually you will. Eventually you will. And if your friend is not a part of any club, encourage her to do so. I want to tell you this, ladies, that employees with leadership skills are valuable assets to their employers. And if you don't want to be an employee and want to be an employer, you need to be a leader, right? That's clear cut. And I want to also add that your co-workers, your colleagues respect and trust strong leaders, making them good candidates for promotions and supervisory roles. Another skill I want to highlight is that of flexibility, or if you want to call it adaptability, anyone, right? And I want to share two quotes with you. The first says, change is the only constant in life. One's ability to adapt to those changes will determine your success in life. Your ability to adapt to the change will determine your success in life. Garrison also said, action and adaptability create opportunity. You need to be flexible. You need to be adaptable to all those changes. And I know especially we hear it on and on, COVID-19, right? It has really brought to us something new, novel. We've never heard or experienced this before. And so several workplaces would have had to bring a new modus operandi, right? And so we all in our own environments and spaces had to adapt to these changes, right? And so I want to share with you that I believe my ability to adapt to change or to be flexible was really strengthened by my experience being in boarding. I want to share this quote that I even tell my students at the college level from time to time. It was my boarding experience that taught me true self-discipline. Here I have pictured my friend and I, Kamisha Kelly Swaby, right? And we were in boarding for a brief moment. But I remember during the period of boarding, if my grades were 80s, they just shot to 90s. And if my grades were 90s, they shot to 100. And that's because of the discipline structure that we experienced at that time. And I'm sure it still remains, right? And yes, discipline, but also helped me to adapt to change. Now, any one of you who would have experienced the boarding life, you know, you're used to being at home in your own comfort zone, in your own room, perhaps in your own space. And now you would have had to share space with someone else and many other persons. You would have had to be in a very scheduled, you had to operate in a schedule rather. And so really you had to learn to adapt to change. I remember walking down on the Sundays in our white outfits down to the church. And though at times, you know, during the boarding experience, you're like, oh my God, silence in prep again. But I realized what it did for me and I enjoyed it. Funny enough, I enjoyed it. Yes, I did. And as I said, I have come to recognize that this experience really molded me to be a disciplined individual. This experience helped me to learn to adapt to change. And it can help you too. When it comes on to flexibility in the workplace, ladies, it is a highly valuable skill. As we said, change is the only thing that is constant. In order to become more flexible, you need to be open-minded. You need to be optimistic. And yes, you need to remain calm. Of course, you need to plan ahead. When you are flexible, you are able to deal with unexpected challenges quickly, calmly, and efficiently, right? But flexibility isn't just about reacting to situations. right? When they arise. But as I said before, it also includes planning ahead. Another skill I want to share with you is that of creativity. And that's an important skill for you. And when I say creativity, ladies, I'm not talking about just the ability to design a space or to draw or to be creative with your hands, but creative in your thinking. My journey at St. Hilda's, particularly the fact that I pursued visual arts at the CXC level, helped me to think outside the box. And I have here pictured a basket of fruits and so on. And that is representative of my memory of harvest at St. Hilda's High and how I could describe that as a spectacular event where all the houses would compete and persons would think outside the box, designing and creating their spaces to represent whatever theme they were assigned for that particular harvest period, right? And so these two experiences are the two that stand out in my mind when it comes on to helping me to become a creative thinker, right? And creativity in the workplace is very important because why? It helps you to solve problems that you may encounter in the workplace. So though you might look on it, harvest, I've got to study for my test. This ain't doing nothing for me, right? Just saying. You might be saying that. But ladies, it's these little things, and I'm really pointing out these little things, because it's these little things that help to mold the person that we could say, is one of the ideal woman, an ideal woman, a phenomenal woman. That's what you are. And that's what St. Hilda's is trying to help you to become, right? Creativity, the ability to see new opportunities, to produce original ideas, to flexibly adapt to changing situations and to apply one's imaginations to solve complex problems. In the workplace, whether you might be the CEO or you are an employee, you are going to be faced with problems, challenges, hiccups. Are you going to fold arms, sit back and wait for it to be solved by a more experienced person? Or are you going to use your thinking abilities, right, to make some sense of something, to experiment, to network and try solve the problem, to make connections, to ask questions, etc. And finally, I want to share with you organizational skills. Now, I can tell you this, I've not yet fully mastered that, but I know I started it as a student at St. Hilda's, where I always had a planner, a student planner. And nowadays they've become so fancy-dancy, right? You can apply your stickers to them and you can use your multicolored pens and so on. It might sound cliche, but it does work. Go and do your research and find out how many successful persons actually use a planner to schedule their daily life. They time block activities. You need to time block, when am I going to study, right? When am I going to hang out with my friend? When am I going to spend time with my family, right? When am I going to spend time with myself? You need to schedule this. And yes, I use this too even today now in my adult life, right? It's very important and it makes life less hectic when you plan ahead. Organizational skills allow you to efficiently and effectively use your resources. In fact, when you plan, you can sometimes see, okay, I think I'm going to spend too much time on this. I need to study for my biology test. So I'm going to time block here. That means I need to be in a quiet area, and just so on, just planning ahead, right? When it comes to organizational skills in the workplace, whether you're a boss or an employee, right, having the right organizational skills will help you succeed. So when you're in the workplace, for example, you need to set goals. What am I going to achieve today? What am I going to achieve this week? What am I going to achieve this month? Yes, and you do that too as a student. General planning skills, time management skills, scheduling, and of course, delegation. Now, ladies, you may ask yourself, I'm just checking the time to ensure that I'm within my 20 minutes block, and I have just under 2 minutes to go. You might ask yourself, what's next? So I've heard Miss Williams' presentation. But okay, so where does this really put me, you know? Let's look at this diagram here, and it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So as individuals, we have physiological needs, food, water, clothing, rest, all of that. We have safety needs. We have a need to feel belonged and loved. We have the need to feel a sense of accomplishment. And we have the need for self-actualization. According to Maslow, many of us may never reach or achieve full self-actualization, but I believe we all can get a taste of it. We all can get a taste of self-actualization. And how so? That is by finding your passion. And through your passion, finding your purpose. So, you know, you heard about me. Yes, I went to St. Hilda's, and I'm a teacher educator, and, you know, I do educational consultancy jobs. I focus a lot on training and development of teachers. But I also am very passionate about making people happy. And so I dabble a little, or maybe a lot than I think I do, in the creativity. Pardon? Okay, I thought I heard someone. Right, and so I have my business, Zara's Flowers and Decor, named after my daughter. And Zara's Flowers
We haven't lost connection, have we?
Hello.
Oh. We're
Not
hearing.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, not sure. What was the last thing you heard?
You have your business
Okay,
named
right.
after your daughter.
All right, thanks. Right, so Zara's Flowers and Decor, and just want to let you know that this business was started out of me feeling that need for self-fulfillment, that need to feel accomplished a little more than I was. And so I recognized that the answer was within my passion, and my passion of making people happy through planning events and decor. Ladies, if you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion. For your passion will lead you right into your purpose. Finally, ladies, how will you position yourself for greatness? And in what ways can you fuel your passion? Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Williams. At this time, our host will man the question and answer section. Okay, so you can ask all the presenters, some of them that presented yesterday are online and the day before are online. So you can ask me any questions that you would like. Over to you, Dr. Benton.
Hello, everyone. I am on the job. So you've caught me in between patients now. I see in the group, we have Dexon from yesterday. We still have Gabrielle on. We still have Denise and Stacy and Thelwell, as well as Rochelle. Any questions, ladies, for me as a general practitioner or any of the other panelists?
This question is for you. How long did it take to become a general practitioner?
Okay, so in Jamaica, a general practitioner is a doctor that has graduated from a medical program and has completed 2 years of postgraduate training in which they have gotten their license to practice. So medical school itself, it depends on where you went. For me, I studied in Cuba. So I studied for 7 years in Cuba with the language portion and then the schooling for additional 6 years. Then when I returned to Jamaica, I did my 2 years of postgraduate training in the hospital, working as an intern and a senior house officer, and also got my medical license. And I had to sit an exam since I studied outside of Jamaica called the Medical Council, the CAMC, Caribbean Medical Council examination. And once I did that exam, I was licensed to work in Jamaica and the Caribbean in general. And then I could go out and work as a general practitioner. However, some persons do want to specialize in other areas. So if you want to be a pediatrician, a gynecologist, or orthopedics, or any neurologist, any other specialty, you would now enroll into a residency program where you would study for additional 4 to 5 to even 7 years in order to become a specialist in that particular area. So for me, for my postgraduate, after I graduated, completing my 2 years post-graduation training, I actually did 2 years of training in family medicine. So I had attempted a diploma in family medicine for 2 years. So it's a long process, but you're actually working during all of the training. Once you graduate med school, you start working immediately as an intern. You're seeing patients, you're responsible, and it's a lot of work, but don't watch the time because life is still happening no matter what. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Miss, is it tiring being a practitioner?
Okay, I am going to take some words from one of our presenters today, Denise. When she said everything is hard. So no matter what you choose to do, it'll be hard just to sit down on that chair for 2 hours and being a student, it's hard. Being a doctor, it has its challenges. It is tiring depending on what you do. For me, it's not tiring because as I mentioned in my presentation on Monday, I love what I do. So I get energized by interacting with my patients and solving their problems and dealing with them. Therefore, if you just continue just pushing through and just once you enjoy what you do, it doesn't feel like a lot of work. And plus, it's always going to be challenging. Whatever you do, it's going to be challenging. I mean, if I worked at the tax office, it would be challenging, same way. No matter the work, it's still work. They're still dealing with people. They're still handling deadlines. They're still interacting with persons. You'll always have challenges. So it's not always choosing what you consider the easy route. There's no such thing as easy, because even when you choose something that's easy, in your mind that's easy, because you have no interest, it just, the time drags on and it feels more challenging to you. So focus on what you enjoy that brings you joy despite anything. So therefore it won't feel tiring. Despite how tired I look, don't watch that. The lack of makeup shows the tired today. Any other questions?
Miss, along the journey, did it feel like you wanted to give up? Miss, along the journey or along the way, did you feel like you wanted to give up at some point in time?
Along the journey, repeat.
Miss, along the journey, did you feel like you wanted to give up? Like you wanted.
Along the journey, did I feel like I want to give up? Yes, many times. I remember I started med school in Cuba when I was 24. And that was when my friends were all about to graduate with their first degree. I was graduating with my first degree also from UE, and we should have all gone out to work. But with my first degree being in zoology, I didn't want to pursue just being a teacher. Not that being a teacher is anything less. It's just wasn't interested in teaching at that point. And so I still had a passion to get for service in terms of healthcare. And I got the opportunity to go off and study. And at my age, it was like, did it make sense? When are you going to start your family? What about those things? And I felt discouraged and felt like I shouldn't even bother. I ended up being the eldest one in my class. So for med school, everybody was like, why are you here? You're older than everybody. And, you're like, oh, but I'm just 25. That's not that old. But I had classmates that were 19. So they were like, why are you in our class? And I'm like, I'm pursuing my dreams. So at the end, it feels worth it. So I felt discouraged at first, but at the end, you just want to feel satisfied with that you're doing something that brings you joy. So it doesn't matter what anybody else says, because at the end of the day, when you go home and you sit down and you're alone in your bed, it's about what makes you happy, what keeps you happy inside. And that's who you have to answer to at the end. So I didn't want to let myself down by giving up on my dreams. So I kept on going. And I don't want you to think that this was a financially easy journey that, oh, my parents just gave me money or threw money at me. I took up opportunities, scholarships and all of that. So I felt discouraged because, I didn't have the money to go on and pursue other things like studying at the university out of pocket. So I took up the opportunities to study in Cuba, where I had to learn another language, which was of course a challenge because I think I finished St. Hilda's and Spanish wasn't mandatory then. And I only knew how to speak like count to 10. I remember I could only count to 10. And I went to Cuba with an open mind. And at the end of 3 months, I was able to complete a sentence. So it was definitely about pushing forward. So anytime it's okay to feel discouraged, just remember what you truly want to do inside.
Yes, Miss, thank you.
Dexon presented yesterday. Dexon, are you here? You didn't get to do any of the question and answer. Is there anything you'd like to just say to the ladies, like how you're here?
Hi, Mala. Yeah, so what would I like to say outside of what I've said already? Again, like everyone has been saying, good afternoon again, ladies.
Student, I have a question for you, Mrs. Grant.
Oh, go ahead then. Go ahead, Miss Science.
My question is, what's it like being a professor?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
Oh, what's it like being a professor?
So as with any other career choice, there are great days and there are days when things are more challenging. As Mala, Dr. Benton just said, there are, with everything, there are high moments and then there are low moments. And so when you are in front of your students and you're teaching them a concept, and at first all the faces are blank, and then by the end of it, everyone seems to have garnered an understanding of what it is that you have been speaking about, it makes you feel like you've accomplished something great. And so that's what it's like. There are challenges, you have to prepare. There's, lesson plans. Your teachers are writing lesson plans all the time. They're getting prepared for classes. You always have to try to pivot, especially if you're in a class, you're trying to explain something and someone is not understanding. You have to go back to your tools, your skills, and say, okay, what's another way that I can explain to someone this very same concept without them losing any of the valuable information, but now they'll be clear. So all the skills that you learn along the way, as I forget, I think it may have been Rochelle who said, be flexible, right? You have to be flexible. When you get into a situation, you need to be able to adapt to that situation and then present the information in new and different ways. And that's a lot of what it's like being a professor. So hopefully that answered your question. You're welcome.
I have a question for Ms. Robin Fernando.
She's not here. She's not there today.
I have a question for Dr. Denise.
The person that had the question for Robin, still send out the question for the meeting, because this is recorded, and I will have Robin get back to you, if anything.
My question is, that I was going to ask is, what was her timeline in the meeting?
Okay, all right then. I know she talked about that in the presentation, and I'm going to have her get back to you about the timeline in the military. So you can check Ms. Hines about that response, all right?
Okay, thank you.
All right then. But I do recall she said she enrolled probably in her 20s, and after she had done over 10 years of service, she was able to retire at 33. So I think it's around 10 years she did, based on my personal knowledge of her. But I'll get more details for you. All right, and the other question for me?
Yes, I see that I would like to pursue like in the clinical field, but the problem we're having, I have to go to the blood and all those things. So how do you like deal with blood and those things?
How do you what?
Deal with blood and those things that I know like you're afraid of.
Could you repeat the question, Ms. Hines? It wasn't clear to me.
She stated that she would like to pursue a career in the medical field. However, she has a fear of blood, and she would like to know how she can overcome that fear.
Wonderful. Fears are something that is internal inside of you, and overcoming a fear is going to be very challenging. But as I mentioned in my journey, I got exposure to the field. So it could be as simple. I know you have to probably do some voluntary hours. You volunteer at the hospital, or you can volunteer at the health center and expose yourself to it and see if you can develop a tolerance of it. For me, my big fear was death when it came on to medicine. And so I said, I'd rather be a vet, because it was animals I was dealing with than dealing with death of persons. However, if you understand, for me, I learned to understand that death is part of life, and therefore I come to terms with it. Now, in terms of helping to get you over the fear of blood, everybody has blood. It's part of us. It's our, gives us energy. And sometimes it escapes our skin or bodies. It's nothing to be afraid of, you know. You wouldn't be terrified of saliva, so why are you afraid of another fluid from the body? But that's my take on it. But getting over fear is a really personal experience. I guess it's based on how you were exposed to blood, and maybe it's tied to that. But I would just say, just know that if it's truly a passion of yours, just get exposure in the area. So reach out to nurses and doctors in your area. And if any of you were in Kingston, I could have said you could come and shadow me, you know. But there's so many physicians and nurses that are in your area, graduates of St. Hilda's that work at the hospital, and you have to do some sort of voluntary work eventually. So, you know, just volunteer to help out and you'll get some exposure. Health fairs in the community or at the health center. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, I will ask two of my students to come and do the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. On behalf of everyone present, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the presenters for taking the time out of their schedule to come and share their valuable knowledge with us and to encourage us, etc. Once again, thank you.
Thank you to all the presenters. I really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. The time you have taken and your preparation and the knowledge that you have imparted and your experiences that you have imparted to my students. So on behalf of the principal, acting vice principal, and this entire St. Hilda staff, once again, thank you so much, and all the
Thank you so much. And I just want to say one last thing. If anybody has an interest in any field at all, please just tell Ms. Hines and I will find somebody to mentor you in that field if you would like. We have alums that are waiting to mentor any of you in any field. So please, Ms. Hines, I'm waiting on the list of the names so I can match your students with some mentees, all right?
I sure will send you those. All right.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.